I was just talking about my first day at kindergarten. All the parents were crying, and I looked at my mother and I went, "You can leave." And so it didn't go over real well. Kindergarten has become, it used to be almost a daycare, but kindergarten now is, they say it's the new first grade, but it is so essential for the building blocks of the learning that is going to be coming in years later. It's vitally important, isn't it?
Absolutely. Developmentally speaking, there's more growth and development during the first 5 years of a child's life than any other period outside the womb. For instance, nearly 90% of brain development happens during these first 5 years. So it's important to take note that it's not just the transition to kindergarten that it's important. It's also all of the development and learning that has happened up to that point. It's that whole period that we refer to as early childhood, which really sets the foundation for future years to come. And to your point, it's so pivotal that young children who thrive during preschool and kindergarten are shown to have more success later in school and life. They have higher chances of continuing on and succeeding in college. They have higher levels of financial stability throughout life, and they even have more substantial retirement accounts. We're talking about lifelong impact.
That's amazing that they have statistics on this.
Absolutely.
That's incredible. Professor Choflá, am I pronouncing your name right, sir?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, you are.
Right. Yeah, a member of the National Hispanic University, the faculty there, currently teaches courses in child development and early childhood education with a focus on early intervention. Knowing that the advanced teaching in kindergarten nowadays, and I call it advanced compared to what I had in kindergarten, what should parents be doing to get their kids ready?
This is a really important question. The types of things that families can do fall into two groups, readiness skills as well as preparing for the actual transition to a new school. In terms of readiness skills, consider the following two questions. Is your child comfortable doing things independently? Now, this is going to vary from family to family, but here's some ideas to support independence. Have your child begin setting the table, making her bed, choosing his outfit for the day, even if it doesn't match or might embarrass you at the store, right? Taking care of a pet. These are all the kinds of ways that you can help your child feel competent, but also to promote that independence. Another question, does your child currently exhibit basic skills such as identifying letters, shapes, and basic colors? When working on these skills with your child, remember that learning should be meaningful and fun. So for instance, if you're working on writing, let's say, begin first with your child's own name and then maybe the family pet's name. Have a color day where everyone in the family wears a particular color. These two types of readiness skills are more common, but there's a few others related to social emotional development that are just as important. Does your child express her or his needs and feelings? How much self-control does your child exhibit? Does your child currently handle conflict with peers? And if I have a moment, I also want to briefly speak about some of the things that families can do to support the actual transition to a new school. As a starting point, create a list of questions that you both have about kindergarten and explore those answers together. Visit the school together. Play on the playground. Try out the new swings. The swings and slides. If your child has never been on a bus and will soon be taking the bus to school, take a few fun bus rides in preparation. Read books about kindergarten, make special kindergarten bookmarks for all that reading. And then one more idea, create a movie, a photo album, or maybe a storybook about your child and present that to the teacher on that first day of class.
Now, you hit on something. I can't remember where my wife was the other day. We have our grandson with us very, very frequently, every weekend plus. And she was somewhere where a little girl, the mom was saying that she lets her little girl pick out whatever she wants to wear, and it does not matter if it doesn't match. And all of a sudden we said, maybe we ought to start doing that. And so Sunday we were going to a family reunion, and Braden had on what he wanted. And June said, "What do you think of that?" And I said, "Well, I'm not sure," and then realized what was going on. But it's very important. He was very happy and comfortable and confident in what he picked out.
Absolutely, and that's an important part of independence. It's about, I'm a confident human being. I can make decisions and choices, and sometimes those decisions and choices end badly, but that's also a valuable learning there as well.
Now, how much weight do you place on preschool? My first wife was an educator and administrator and a believer in preschool. Braden has been in a very good preschool prior to going to kindergarten, and I think it's very important for overall child development. How do you feel about that, Professor Choflá?
That's a great question. Early childhood educators in general are a crucial part of a young child's development and ongoing learning. And to provide the most nourishing learning experiences, educators also need to have the necessary preparation. They need a solid understanding of child development, of early learning, and certainly effective teaching practices. Over the last several decades, because of the understanding of the importance of early childhood, there has thankfully been a push to require higher and higher levels of education. This has included permits and degrees at the undergrad and grad level. At the National Hispanic University, our bachelor's and master's programs in child development and early childhood are providing knowledge and skills to prepare our students to be that powerful force in the lives of children and families.
Well, I can tell you, Braden went to kindergarten last year, and his desire to read is sometimes overwhelming. Like we're doing a summer reading program, and we ended up with a lot of books, and I kind of feel like to get through them and for comprehension, here, let me read this one to you. And we get in a page or two, and he said, well, I can read this, Pat. and it's a slower process, but he wants to read. I'm not going to stop him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all been created in kindergarten. So I truly admire what they're doing nowadays. Now, I know I got to let you go in a minute, but very quickly, once the child enters kindergarten, what should the family be doing to keep this fire burning?
Sure. There's three ways that I can think of right now. It's certainly a number of ways. First, relationships are key to education. So from the very beginning, work towards creating and sustaining authentic relationships with your child's teachers and school administrators. If possible, which I know is difficult for some families, volunteer in the classroom, attend PTA meetings, get involved in some consistent way. A second way is, create a culture of learning at home. And it sounds like you're certainly doing that with your grandchildren, but, make it a whole family event to have fun with and around writing and reading. Read every day. Talk about the story. Guess what's going to happen next? All of these kinds of things that you do with your kids, these will bridge concepts back to school. And finally, there are so many ways you can connect learning from school back to home and community and vice versa. For example, you can baking cookies. This entails planning and reading and instruction following and measuring and all of these things that relate back to what children will be doing in the kindergarten.
Not sure you would approve, but Braden and I write insults to each other. Like I'll write down Braden is a stop sign head. And he'll write down Pap is a monkey brain or something. That's my contribution, Doctor.
Well, you're certainly playing with language, which is important.
Thank you for stretching the compliment. Do you have a website, Professor, that folks can go to?
Oh, sure. For additional tips and resources, folks can go to www.nhu.edu early start.
edu.earlystart. Professor, thank you. And thanks for trying to stretch a compliment out of that.
Of course.
Have a great day.
Thank you for your time.
Bye-bye. It's 8:45. Did you hear the pause?